Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. So today's project is finishing a project. So if you've been with me for a while, you'll know that I did a calendar series with Susanna. So every month she had a design that we stitched. I didn't do all the months, but I did most of them. And there was a couple that I took to a project that I had done in the past, which was a Japanese rice bag with a little bit of a difference. It's technically in the style of a Japanese rice bag, but I redesigned it so that it was like a storage caddy for my room. So if you've been with me for some time, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So these are my little panels. So today I want to finish the project, basically. Oh, I must iron that. I can see a little tulip sketched in there that needs ironing out. So I've got 4 of these little sides, if you will, to make my little box. So I guess if you already have 4 little stitcheries that are roughly the same size, and you can get them to the same size, this is a great project. Now, I'll just put those to one side, so they're finished. I need to do a base, and I've also got my lining pre-prepared. So I picked a fabric from my stash. This is an old fabric from early 90s when I was making a lot of farm-inspired quilts, so a lot of earthy tones. So I have quite a bit of meterage of this gold fabric. So I thought that's perfect. It works in well with my little guys. So it's basically, look, there's a playlist of making all of these. So there's plenty you can go and see. And I believe my first one, let's just sidetrack here. I've got the 3 that I've made so far sitting here. So this is the first one. This keeps, I think it's my first one. Yes, it is. This keeps my French fabric morsels. So let me just come up a little bit in the camera. Hang on, let's give you a proper view. So once again, we've got the 4 sides, and each side featured some of the pieces that I picked up when I went foraging in France. So whenever I do a project that is celebrating those memories and those fabrics, all the little scrappy bits are in here, and that was the embroidery I did on the front. Oh my gosh, it feels like forever since I did that. That was one of my first attempts at thread painting. Gosh, that's probably it must be nearly 3 years ago now. Now the top of these bags, as true with the Japanese rice bags, have these little tabs which are caught in the seam as the decorative side and the lining come together. And you stitch around that top edge, catching some little pieces of fabric, and then you slide your cordage through, and you use 2 pieces, and they come from one side and whip around and come out the other side where you entered, knot it off, and then you do it again on the opposite corner. So you can see corner cross. So that's how they're constructed. That allows you, like the rice bag, to pull it together. It's very clever, the rice bag design. The only thing really different for what I did is I made my sides quite stiff. So within this is a piece of quite heavy canvasy calico. Well, it's not calico, it's a canvas product, but it's not thick enough that it hurts your hands when you stitch through it. I picked it up when I was thrifting, and I would say it's from the upholstery industry. I've never really worked out what it would be used for, other than maybe, I don't know. Oh, no, I've got no idea. I'm just racking my brains at what I would make out of it. I suppose, I don't know. Anyway, move on. Oh, goodness me. If I sit here long enough trying to think about what I could make with it, I'll end up making another project. But I really like it because it started the thickness I needed to have my rice bag to stand upright. Then I laid calico down and started stitching, and then I put a little bit of wadding on the back left over from when I was quilting. So it's a good way to use up scraps from that aspect. My measurements on all of them are 6.5 by 6.5. I just find it's a nice size. They sit beautifully on my shelf, and with that extra strength, you can see it's quite a rigid little piece. They stand well, and then by the time you put a lining on the inside, of course that's where this fabric comes in, it works really well. The one tip I will tell you about now before I forget, when you're sewing your pieces together and you're whipping down this side, you stop a few mil from the end. So you sew it all together, straight, stop, down here, stop. So you now have a tube, stop. And then when you put this guy in, the bottom, you pick up where you would think to, like on just in from the edge a little bit, straight across, all the way around, and then when you turn it, it catches a nice little corner, and it's because you've stopped before the end. If you want, just type into YouTube Japanese rice bags, and there's heaps of tutorials where they show that little detail. It's really important. I don't worry about it with the outside, because technically a Japanese rice bag would be this repeated again, and you have a nice soft edges, and all of these raw edges are within the bag itself. So your bag, if I turn that the right way, I don't even know if I'm making sense. It is so early in the morning here, and I just have had this project sitting here, and I just want to get it finished because I've got an idea for another one, because I love them. I just love them. As you can see, like this would be my fourth one. So a Japanese rice bag, that would be on the outside, and you get this beautiful enclosed edge, which is the traditional way of doing it. And then you'd have another one of these on the inside. It'd all be neat and tidy, and then the drawstring action would happen. But what I do is I attach them rough. So I'm going to over stitch there, like overcast stitch or whip stitch that together, and then that side together. So then I get this gorgeous rough edge, and it helps with a bit of stability too, because it's quite rigid there now, and there's the bottom piece. The only thing I'm missing, which I've yet to do, is I've got to find myself a piece of fabric, get it all camphor stitched down, and that's my base to sort of hold it all. And once again, it too is as thick as the sides. So I do need to do that. I've got a little bit of fabric here to create the strap holders. I don't even know what the technical word is. This is another one. So this is really for the new people that haven't seen these constructed. Once again, it's exactly got lace in there. They're just the best place to forage. There's lace in there, which shouldn't be in there, but this is just scraps of plain fabric. So when I'm doing some collaging, I can grab this. I've got bigger wicker baskets of all of these things around the room, but when I'm filming or just wanting to sit on the couch, these are just great to take with me for a quick grab bag of goodies. So once again, there's my straps, and I use, straps, I should have said scraps. No, straps. A couple pieces of the fabric from the project, just camphor stitched it down with running stitch to embellish this base fabric. In goes the twine. The twine, I grab it from my local hardware store. I'm not sure what they use it for, maybe macrame, but maybe the workmen use it to mark out lines. I don't know. There's a couple different sizes available at your hardware, so just pick one that, catches your eye. I have seen it available in the little $2 shops as well. There's another place you can find it. As I was coming to my desk, I picked up this ball of thread in Paris at a yarn store. And I've got a couple different types, and they've been sitting there purely decorative, and I've been thinking, why did I buy them? Like, what am I ever going to use them for? And as I come to my desk, I spotted that as well. And I thought maybe I might make my thread out of this. Now, I don't pull it closed. This is pretty lightweight, but I don't pull it closed. So I thought as a decorative element, it actually works beautifully with these little fellows. So I'm thinking about using a little bit of that. I'm going to pinch a bit out of the center. I don't think I'd miss it. Now this one, because I cut 5 of these blank sides and I just have them sitting there. I've got another set ready to go. So when I do a cutting session, I cut all of these in one hit. And then when I come up with an idea that I want to test, or I see a fellow YouTuber do something and I think, oh, gee, I've never done that before and I'd love to try it. For example, this was Arty Farty Annie's channel. Gosh, 2 years ago. She did some, not weaving. What did she do? She did this one. She did a quilt where she hand-stitched the fabrics to create the block, and then layered on top of that stitch, beads, couched ribbon down, just kept layering and layering, and then soft fabrics went over it, and I thought, oh, it was so pretty. So I thought, I'm going to try that. So this little box led to samples of ideas that I saw on YouTube, and I thought, you know, I don't want to do a big project, but boy, I'd love to have a go at that. So that then led me down to, I think we went away somewhere on holidays, and I thought, oh, a log cabin would work beautifully. So using the same fabric, which was a jelly roll, I took with me the threads that I'd used on this side and did a log cabin. Then I did weaving. Now, I think it was the first time I saw weaving was when Rachel showed us in one of the Roxy Journal of Stitchery projects. Now, we're talking probably volume 1. That was the first time I had seen it. So I did a little weaving technique, which then later led me to a larger page, and I did a dragonfly on a branch, and the weaving was my background. So that's a classic example of making a side just as a memory. And you know, when you're flicking through images or YouTube and you see all these cracker ideas, but you're in the middle of a big project, this is one of those little projects that you can just pull out and do a quick session, and then you've got it around you as inspiration. And that was another one, doing it offset. Log cabin. I so feel like I've got a log cabin in me again. I've got all these beautiful Japanese fabrics that I've been collecting, and I just feel like a scrappy log cabin coming. I do not need another project, but anyway, stop feeling those feelings. And on the base, I just patched together a couple of the pieces. That's the jelly roll size. So just 3 of those, stitched them all down once again on one of those bases. So that's that little guy, and that just keeps my plain scraps. So I've got my French one, my plain one, and my Japanese one. You know, I think this was the first one. I honestly do. Yeah, I do. And in here, I keep all my little snippets of Japanese fabrics. Well, that's not Japanese. That's from a thrift store, but it sort of fits the bill. I've got some threads in there. I've got some... What else have I got in here? Yeah, more threads. So it's sort of... here's some sashiko. I was thinking about this the other day. I was watching... Who was I watching? Oh, it was one of those clips that come up really quickly, and you get like a 2-minute watching someone just with music. And it was a Japanese artist that was doing this type of work on dishcloths, and it was spectacular. And it's so hard to refine those types of videos. They're reels. Gosh, I hate reels. You watch them once and they're gone. So I don't know, maybe there's a way of saving them. I don't know. I just think that's just, yeah, anyway. And I remembered that I had this, and I thought, you know, I should dig it out and make something pouchy out of it that's useful. There we go. The brain's ticking. All right, I'm gonna fling it to that corner of the table where my pouch things are going, and that's going to be a future pouch. Let's use it. If you've watched Dawn's video about her Gosling quilt, and then she made a needlebook and a pouch connecting all of it together, like all the fabrics. She had an embroidery that she'd done years earlier, which was little blocks of little embroideries, and she sliced it, which was traumatic for her. I was discussing it with her on a phone call, and we were just like, just do it, do it. It's been sitting in the cupboard for goodness knows how long. And she sliced the bottom of this panel. It was quite large. Let's pretend this is, 3 times the height. She sliced the bottom and then seamed it and made a pouch out of the bottom bit and a bigger pouch out of the top bit. And it's spectacular. And I thought, we've got all these little embroideries we try around the place. I'm thinking that this little guy needs to have a home. And the whole pouch craze, we started doing pouches in the Roxy Journal of Stitchery, and then our beautiful Kate's come along and just taken it to a whole new level. And it's been refreshing because it's made us pull out these little projects and work them into something. So I'm going to fling that to the end of the table. So just excuse me as I fling that across there, and that can sit ready for something. And there might even be another one in here. Wouldn't that be a bonus? I don't think there is. There's some needles. So yeah, it's nearly a go bag of, treasures. Oh, there's a needle book I picked up at at Ballarat. They had the local quilt ladies had a stand there selling. How does that come undone? Oh, it's a little, and it was like a couple dollars. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, someone's put all that work into this piece. So I grabbed it, and I thought, one day I might make something. It's so clever. Look, it's a little pouch. And then there's your little spot for your needles. Like, needle books are being done to the earth and back. But I thought that was such a clever idea. She's made a pouch first. So, okay, so she's put 2 sides of fabric. Oh, okay, we're going off on a tangent. That's such a simple construction. All right, I'm going to do a video on how this base is made. We can do it in all sorts of themes, but this is quite clever. Where's my calico scrap here? See, we're going off on a tangent, guys. Let's pretend that this is the same size. So she has, the clever lady that made this, pretend that this section extends past about that much. Let's do a quick prototype. Might inspire you guys to get started on it. Scissors. Oh my goodness, we were coming, where'd that come from? We were coming here to do this, but that's all right. I think you get the general gist. And now we're having a look at this. I'll do a proper video on this because it's actually pretty clever. All right, roughly, that's the size. So she gets 2 of these. Gosh, I hope she's watching. If you're watching and you made this, give me a hoy. 2 of these, front and the back. I love how she's used the candle wicking. I've got a piece of that. Gosh, remember when we were doing that? Lots of little knots to create a design and couching. Oh, I know where that piece is. Maybe we put a candle wicking inside. Little piece of wool. So yeah, all right. So 2 pieces of fabric. Stitch around the whole thing, leave a gap, turn it the right way. So now you have a internal tube of fabric. So all your raw edges are on the inside. And then bring this back up to create the pouch and stitch it down. yeah, and that's it. That creates your little pocket. This is clever. I don't know how that came to be. I wonder if that's come off something. I don't think I'm going to be clever enough to make that. Okay, well, stay tuned. The next video will have the making of one of these little needlebook pouches. I wonder who originally, if anyone recognises the design, please let me know so we can acknowledge them. Even if it doesn't get an acknowledgement in the video, we can at least put it in the description. Or if the lady who made this is out there and you recognise it, let me know. I think it was $5. Like, What I might do is make it scrappy, but instead of having a neat edge turned in, we make it scrappy. So 2 pieces of fabric, one embellished with all of this stitching, one to showcase this gorgeousness, whatever that may be, a doily or a, you know, whatever. Yeah, all right, stay tuned. Stay tuned, kids. We've just headed off on another tangent, for goodness sake. So you put these things away and you go, one day I'll make one of those. And then it gets lost and forgotten in a box. Fabric I picked up recently at a fair. So there you go. That's my little Japanese-inspired rice bag caddy. So as you can see, I've got 3 of them. I'm about to have 4 of them. And I think I have the bases for at least another one. So what I'll do is I'll go and hunt that out, because I've got an idea for another one of these too, which will appear in a video. They're just so easy to make. Now, I don't have the base component ready, but what we can do in the meantime is cut a few other bits and bobs. Where's my actually, look, I've just had another idea. Sitting to the side of me are the words from Susanna's recent panel, which is going to be at the retreat. What if I collage these words in some fashion that makes sense onto, let's pretend that that's the base. I collage them onto here. Because these are Susanna's little characters. And I took a couple of the words out. See, I like that for future projects. Nature's treasures. Down to the meadow, off they go. Where they belong. It's got Susanna's signature there too, so that's really cool. So just rearranging your poem, Susanna. Down to the meadow, off they go. Little birds twitter their song. And the twits, yeah, all right. Let's have a go at that. And then using scrappy bits of fabric and stitch, we'll keep nature's treasures where they belong. See, the word belong is good for just adding to a piece, to and fro. Oh, that's, oh, what a cracker. Love it. Hi, Susanna. Should be thinking, what's that girl up to now? All right, so that's going to be my base. I just need to dig out the base elements. These will be laid down. I'll drop some scrappy bits of fabric in amongst it. Why not do that now? Let's get a rough layout because, you know, it's sitting right here. Just some bits. We don't have to think this out too much. Just to get a bit of layering happening. that a bit short. Better be over here now because it's a bit short. What else have we got in here? So yeah, that's what this video is about. Finishing off a project, and I'll cut some more of these sides so they're ready to go, because you never know when these silly little reels will pop up and you'll go, oh, I could do that this afternoon. Have a little play. That piece of fabric is on the bag itself, so let's use that. That's a little bit of dyed fabric. So stay tuned for more activities showcasing these little bags. Especially when you see quilt videos where you're doing just different blocks. If you're not doing a slow stitch project, that's a calico, we can do better than that. You're not doing a slow stitched project as such. You're doing, you know, a proper classic sewing machine quilt block type project, and you want to test some blocks. These would be fantastic for it. Here we go. Now we're getting into some nice, yummy fabrics. Oh, can't tear it. I try not to tear as much as I used to too, because it's a lot of pressure on my joints, and if one wants to stitch to 143, one needs to look after their hands. If you're listening, Kate, I'm talking to you. She tears a lot of her fabric, and it'd be putting pressure on joints. So be careful, my friend. Don't wear yourself out. I need something to sneak through there. It shouldn't be a problem. Might bring you down to there. I'll fiddle a little bit more with this. There's a little bee printed. Can we get you on there? Probably not. Let's try. Don't mind tearing the really thin fabrics, but some of those others, they just put up too much resistance. Why do it to yourself? Gosh, now I'm going to be making needlebook. I should be doing other things. I should be stitching my Roxy project. My Just Because quilt needs some attention. I don't want to cover Susanna's. It's just too big, I think. Even if I bring that down. No, it's too big. Is it too big? Look, let's really get into it. Let's get rid of the bulk, rough it up a bit, and then we will get him in. It seems perfect to be with these guys. Come on, little guy. Let's pull that up a little bit to get our gap down here. I can trim that off a bit too. There we go. We'll get him in. We've got him in. Now let's try that again. Put you there, something like that. Be something else go in there. Maybe you need to go that way so you're a bit more not so uniformed. All right, I think you guys have got the general gist. This little guy is a good slithery little piece. Got that extra fabric and I didn't realise. Yeah. All right, so you got the general gist. I'll just keep placing little bits and pieces to layer it up and Get some little scrappy bits in there. More. I could remove some words. Is there a mouse in this? No. And that's a squirrel, isn't it? A deer. I might take this out. The reason I'm doing that is because toadstools and a mouse could be a whole project from that. I'm going to take that out. Down to the meadow. Off they go, little birds. Who's going to the meadow? The mouse is. Maybe I'll just use the one. Then I can do more of a... I don't know. Stay tuned. But either way, all of those bits can go towards the base. All right. Now, the other thing I need to plan out is the straps. Now, I'm going to use, this is my guide. Where's my little tape measure? There's at least double in there. So that's 2 inches. So an inch and a quarter above the top of the bag and 3/4 of an inch within the bag. So 2 inches, then it's folded. So 4 inches is the template. So we will do that. Now the width of that little strap is 2 1/4. 2 1/4. So look, so that I don't not get it out of this piece, let's make it 2, be more than enough. Slight adjustment. And that'll give me 2 bases for my rope to slide through. Okay, so then that is caught when this comes together with the lining. Let's show you that. Pretend that these have all been connected all the way around. The base has been stitched on with that overcast stitch, and now we've dropped the lining on the inside of the decorative exterior, like this little guy. There. All right, so all we've got to do now is overcast stitch right around the edge. But as we go, we catch, where is my, oh gosh, here it is, this guy. Now what I will do, as to with the base, is I'll lay some fabric on this, stitch it, so it becomes a lot more rigid. At the moment, this is just a little base. So let's pretend that all of these scrappy bits, not the words as such, but, you know, I've laid on there some more bits and pieces. I might even lay a little lace on there as well. That helps match it into my piece. I've stitched them, so I've now got 4. So that's a good little base, actually. Let's just trim that to size. Just a rough cut's enough. So that will lay on there. Pretend that's all stitched. Fold it in half. So that's ready to go. And as we scoot around this side, I usually just pin them there. Where's my pins? Pins. Like so. And I'd have the 4 of them pinned into position. Then I drop this inside of my caddy, which is already stitched, sitting here beautifully. This would then just drop into the side, inside it, and then I start stitching around that top edge, and that catches this little, what do they call them when they're on your jeans? Loops. Is it loops? Belt loops. And that would be caught in the stitching, ready to go. And then you just thread your fabric through, your rope through. So that's it. That's the gist of putting together these little bags. What I might do is I might pause the video. I'm going to go off and complete all that. What I might just show you before I do go is this overcast stitch joining these, if you're a bit unsure of what I'm talking about. So let's grab needle and thread. I use pearl cotton, number 8. It's nice and strong, but you could use DMC stranded cotton. Probably break it down to 3 strands. Nice sharp needle with a big eye, because you're going to be pushing through quite a few layers, so you want it nice and sharp. This one doesn't have a real big eye, but it's sharp, so it could destroy my thread in the process, but it's nice and sharp. So it doesn't really matter which side you start with. If you want to attach a side to the base, the side to sides, you know, it doesn't really matter, because it's not like a sewing machine where you would have right sides together, and it has to be, you know, nicely lined up. It's a scrappy bag. A couple clips, you could use a couple of those. You could pin it, but I can't. It's just too thick, because I've got this rigidness about my little bag. So all I do then is just, I'm going to need a thimble. Gosh, my finger's getting sore, guys. Too much stitching. Need a rest from stitching to allow my poor finger. Someone said on a video, who was it? I think it was Miss Jennifer Clouston, said that you eventually build up a bit of a callus there and it gets quite tough. I haven't noticed that yet. All I've noticed is the skin breaks. I get that callousy feel around that entry point, but there's a break and in it goes and bites me. Gets tender. If I leave it a couple of days, of course it heals. And away I go again, but oh gosh. And I'm not a fan of working with thimbles. The metal ones just drive me nuts. I feel like they're grating my teeth. You know, when corrugated iron or tin scrapes on tin, like the chalk on the chalkboard. Chalk on a chalkboard doesn't bother me, but metal on metal, oh my goodness. Just bites into my eardrums. So a thimble that is metal, and I've got heaps of them. I've sort of collected them at markets when I see them. Oh, wow. I just can't handle my fingernail bumping into them. I've tried the leather ones. Susanna uses a leather one, and she set me up with one, and we did it to my finger size and, you know, just made it fit, and no, can't do it. So I use these little silicone ones. Now these I buy at, I remember buying a set off Amazon, and they were so expensive, and I got 6 or something. And sooner or later you get a hole in them, because, you know, that's what happens. The end gets worn. But they're silicone, you get sets of them. And I've since found them at Officeworks in a couple different sizes, and they're a fraction of the price. So I've got plenty of those. I just don't wear them all the time, because they do get hot. And I don't want, you know, anything nasty to start happening to my fingernail. So I don't wear them all the time. I wear them when my injury surfaces. When I get a sore finger, I bring out the but yeah, Officeworks sell them, and they're used for counting money. So even if you're doing a search online, don't put in silicone thimble, because you'll pay big bucks for 1 or 2. Put in the thumb counting money type description. like usual, hey, when you target a particular industry, it's expensive, but if you find out an industry that's not so on trend, you'll find it. It's like when I clicked that what's that thread they use for beading? It's from the fishing industry. The fly fishermen use it to create those little fly. And you can buy bulk meterage of it for not a lot of money, but you put that into the beading industry websites and you pay a fortune for a tiny little reel that a sewing machine reel that you put at the bottom of your sewing machine. Because I was using it or talking about it somewhere, and my cousin who restores fishing lines, he knew the word. He goes, oh, I've got meters of that on reels. I'm like, oh, do you? So he bought a reel over and dead set. Comes in different gauges, but it was the same. So if you could find the finest one in the fishing industry. See, I'm just doing a over the back, bring it through stitch. Take your thread to the rear. Make sure you're grabbing everything. There's lots of layers there. Take your time and work your way up the side. And that's it. It can't be any easier, guys. And of course, that little tab at the top that we just created, once you've decorated it, if you choose to, it's catching it just like this as you whip around that the top edge of your little box. These make great gifts, guys. They're easy to make. I don't think I've seen them anywhere else like this, where it's exposed rough edge. It suits our world of slow stitch beautifully. Usually they're made the traditional way where your seams are all internal within the box. So I'd like to think this is my invention, but, probably it's been done back in whenever. Oh my goodness, it's hard to have an original idea these days. And then when there are original ideas, or they think they got an original idea, squabbles break out over who had the first bloomin' original idea. Oh my goodness, I tell you. Here's some funny stories. I won't go into detail because, I'm not involved. But yeah, I see it a little bit in the quilting industry with block designs and quilt designs. But, how many different ways can you create a block? That's very big in the music industry because how many notes in an octave? 8 because of the word octave? Or is there more? Gosh, I haven't studied music since I was a kid when I learnt to play the piano, and that is long gone. You see, I think it was Ed Sheeran went to court with someone who claimed that his song, and he ended up pulling his guitar out in front of the judge and said, all right, these are the 8 notes. These are a heap of songs using a similar combination of notes and how similar they sound. So he put on an impromptu demonstration of, there's only so much you can do with 8 notes. Other than, going up and down the octave, of course, and he won his case, I believe, because, there's no real original ideas anymore, I don't think. We're just all reinventing the same wheel. No one's come up with a new wheel, have they? All right, I'm at the top and I'm just knotting that off. So you can see where this is heading now. Really simple stitch, especially if you don't want to get on the sewing machine. And even this little guy, there's no reason. I did do it on the sewing machine. It was only because I had it out. I don't think I did that on the others. Or maybe I did. Maybe I did. Some of these I've caught this inner in the side seam. And that one over there I haven't. I've just popped it on, you know, in loose. So it's up to you. You could, you know, encapsulate that into there. Would hold it down as well. Yeah, I should have probably done that because that would have been a good way to hold it. So you could do that. Then your lining is now part of it. Yeah, I should have done that. And that holds it. Yeah, there you go. See, it's been a while since I've done that. So just ignore that. I'm going to unpick that. And I'm going to catch that in there. And then it really stays rigid. So there you go. I'm glad I looked at those bags. Done. I bet some of you were yelling that at the screen because you've made these with me in previous videos. So hot tip, catch that seam in there. And have I got all my squirrels and things up the right way? That'd be disappointing, wouldn't it? Line that top edge up. There we go. That down there, that there. There's my little clips. I've shown you at least the stitch that I use. There we go. And then up you go. So let's get this guy pinned. Well, not pinned. Where's the other side? Get my little deer up the right way. Encapsulate. Is that a word? Encapsulate. It is today. Okay. Clips, no clips, clips. What to do? Well, I might toddle off. I think you guys have got the general gist of it. I do need to make that base, come up with some form of creativeness. There we go. And then that one. Don't have any more clips. Get some clips, girl. Clips, clips, clips. Yeah, I'd struggle to put a pin in these. So thick. Just would be bending my little pins. There we go. Yeah, like I said, these little caddies not only are useful, but they're great ways to test ideas. So if you have been watching thread painting, for example, but you don't want to do a big piece, just pick a beautiful piece of fabric and thread paint that. And you can test things, you know. Probably banging on about the same thing, but you get the general gist. And then it's useful. Now I want to unpick that. How are we going for time? We got time. Let's unpick it. Where's my unpicker? Can I get it out and use that thread again? Probably not. Does not matter. Does not matter. At least you got to see the stitch. It'll come out really well. I think when you're prepping some sides, say you cut, you know, there's five sides, so the bottom and the sides. When you cut them, do 20. So then you've got 4 caddies sitting there ready to go. So you need that little bit of wadding. You need something internal to give it a structure, which is this thick calico that I found. You could just use calico, but you might need to upgrade your wadding so it's just a little bit heavier duty. And then you're ready. And just pin them together in sets of 5. And as soon as you see an idea or want to road test something, you can do a square. And that square then, keep it within a palette. so that, you know, in 6 months' time you go, oh, I could do a square of that, and you go straight to that project and you've got your pieces ready to go and you can road test another idea. That's what I use them for. And then as they come together, you've got some storage. Can't believe I stitched that and didn't. They're all like that, aren't they? Yeah, it holds the lining nicely in instead of it ballooning. My goodness. It's been at least 12 months since I actually constructed it. And we finished this project at the end of last year. That Susanna did, her calendar. So, that's how long it's been sitting around. I'm sick of looking at it, sitting on my bench. And I want to use it. I've got little piles of things, and little piles of things are growing into bigger piles of bits. So it's a real morsels holding apparatus. Oh my goodness, some of the words we create, or phrases in this little slow stitch world we're in. There we go. There it is. It's now caught. Up you come. Up you come. Don't be shy. Back down you go. Line it up. Clip. I won't sit you through restitching that. So you get warts and all with me. See, that's a shocking saying. Where did that saying come from? That's just nasty. There you go. We're ready. We are ready. So there you go. It really holds that side in nicely. And then when I create, where did you come from? When I create the base, that'll just drop in there, and then around you go. And then around you go across the top, finish that off. It's that easy. All right. Okay, I'm going to toddle off and finish this, and yeah, I'll come back with it completed, show you the final look. So I'll pause the video now, and I'll see you soon. I'll see you in a second. Bye. No, don't say goodbye. I'm coming back. I'll see you in a moment, guys. Hi, guys. I'm back. So I haven't finished yet. I was getting it ready to, you know, take it to the couch, and I went and found the bases. So here they are here. This is what I was talking about. I pre-cut them and put a bull clip on them, and they're ready to go for future bags. And it just takes so much time out of the process, and you know you've got them up your sleeve. I then had a look at, I got my base, I had a look at this fabric that I use for the lining, and I thought, you know, I'm just going to do that. I'm just not going to overthink the bottom because no one's going to see it. So the words got put away. The bumblebee has gone here, and he'll be stitched on above the little squirrel. So a complete change of design. And the other thing I do with this base is I reel myself some lines. And that is my stitch line, which is every a half an inch. So my little ruler is an inch. So I just first of all put the inch line on, then I come back through and draw the next one. Now if you're frightened that your running stitches are crooked all the time, don't be afraid to do this. When I'm, say, busy watching a movie, this is really good because at least I know I can look up to the TV and my stitch is going to be reasonably straight. I did this on all of the bases. I don't do it a lot on my other work, but don't be afraid to do yourself a little light line. You can also use those tools that create a line. You know, you push them along the fabric. Got a little hook. Oh my goodness, I can't think of the name of it. The quilters use it to get their quilt lines. It creates a bit of an indent, and you can see the indent and away you go. So that is now lined up, ready to go. My fabric is a fraction bigger. See that? But I can trim that. Now, technically, I would invisible stitch this, but what I'll do is just pop a couple pins in, and then I'll pick a line here, a line there, and just stitch it, and then it'll be held into position. So that then made me think about these, because after I finished filming, I got my 4. And I had a piece of fabric that was going to go on it, but I don't have any more of that fabric, and I've got 4, so got rid of that. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to go back to this. Now, I think they were about 2 inches. So I want it to be smaller than that. So I might make it 1.5 inches. I don't think this tears real well. It's a very soft quilter's fabric. No, it's going to, so I'm just going to buy eye. No need to get precious about straight lines with this, and just lay that into there as a decorative piece. Nice little morsel for a rainy day. Probably could have done the 4 of them that row, and then I wouldn't have had a morsel, but I'm okay with it, because morsels are good and are never an issue, are they? I could just see Grandma having conniptions that I'd wasted that fabric, because back in the day she used every scrap, but she was a dressmaker, so bits left from cutting a sleeve the wrong way, and not the miserly way, we'll say. That's probably the wrong word. That's disrespectful. Is what we did, was what they did. So pattern placing was such a important process. No, I'm just going to do what I was doing, because I've got a nice piece there for another day. It's okay, Corrine. Grandma will just smile and go, oh my goodness, you kids, you're just changing the way it was done. How exciting. She was definitely stayed in her ways, but progressive enough to see, wow, that's exciting. You know what I mean? That looks too big. Yeah, it's like 1/4 inch out. There we go. So once again, I'll just do some running stitch. I don't think I'll lace it. I'll leave it just with the and let's do the lines. Why not? Keep consistency in design. So that should work. Just if I bring that back, do one through the middle, one on the edge. We just have to adjust it to suit. One through the middle. Pudgy's having a big drink of water. Pudgy's doing well. He's got the dreaded kidney issue that a lot of pussycats get. But recent blood tests, he's holding his own. They have dropped a little, but not too much. So really happy about that. He got his little needle that helps him to walk strong and tall. I think I've told you all this in a previous video, so it's old news. Find the middle just by eye, and we know we can get two lines of stitching either side of the middle. So just roughly ready to sit and stitch. So one of my mates rang me, some of those stitchy girls. I've got a project I can just grab and just sit, stitch and yap. One of the blessings of the YouTube world is we all have this homework that we need to do, which is hours of work. I'm sure you guys realise the hours of work that goes into making YouTube video projects. You have to be quite efficient in your time management. It forces you to finish projects because we sort of commit to things with you guys. And then after we've finished filming, there's all this work that needs to be done to bring that project to a conclusion for you guys. So it's fantastic. I've never been, who was I talking to? Dawn Meldrum's channel by her name. I said what was she doing? She was working on her Gosling quilt, I think. And I was pinning something. I don't know what I was doing. And we were just yapping. And I said to her, because she's only fairly new to YouTube, and I said, have you noticed how productive you've become since you started a YouTube channel? She's like, oh, yes. She said, now everything's planned and executed, and yeah, it's quite interesting. It's fantastic because I've never been so productive myself. So I've got my base ready. I've got my little straps ready to do the running stitch on. This is pinned with my clips ready. As soon as that base is done, I can flip it over, add that in, and then do the final stitch around the top. I think you've got a better gist of the project now. All right, I shall pop that into there. Bit of cotton, a needle. What was that needle I was using? It was a good one. And I'm ready beside the couch, and a thimble because my finger's sore. I'm ready beside the couch with the project. All right, I'll pause again and be back with the finished little caddy. Won't be a moment. Hi guys, I'm back. So it's the next day and I have 99% finished. Here comes Fudgy now. He wants to hop off the table. Go Fudge. I've finished my bag, but I just have about an inch of it to stitch on the bottom. So I thought I'd leave it till this morning where I can come back and show you the technique, because I don't know if I did actually stitch it. I don't know. A whole day's gone by. I don't know what I've done and what I haven't done, and it doesn't matter. I think the needle's in the bottom. Didn't I come back and show you that I'd changed my mind on the bottom and I wasn't going to use those pieces of script from Susanna's panel? So that's done. It's inserted and I just have this last little bit. I just wanted to say too, you definitely do your sides because that just gives you that structure. And when it comes to dropping your bottom in, it just rests neatly. You use some of your clips just to pinch it into position and then whip stitch around that base. It's as simple as that. And they're really, really handy, guys. I cannot stress how handy they are. Yesterday afternoon, I went through my cupboard to see what base fabric I have left, and actually found another little piece of it that, I don't know, I must have put it aside when I cut the first lot off and didn't realise that I actually had a little bit more, which is awesome. I think I've got enough to make, I count, probably 5 more. And I think one little set, I've only got 3 pieces. So I just have to find something for there in the bottom and I'd have 6. So really pleased about that. So there'll be 6 more of these made in the future when I come up with a new thing I want to try. I'd love to do a Jennifer Clouston inspired one where we embroider images on the sides. That's a bit of pressure to get that looking spectacular. But with her 3 books, it's not hard to nestle into those books and stitch away, but that would make a lovely theme for one. I thought about getting some of Rachel's fabrics out from Roxy Creations and doing one themed on those fabrics. I thought that'd be nice. Yeah. I've been itching to do a little bit more log cabin, and I was thinking a whole quilt. Maybe I do one of these as just to calm the farm a bit and get it out of my system. Don't know. Might be a good way to test a few ideas that I've got. Okay, so that's that done. Last little bit. Yeah, really good. So my little tabs have been caught in that top edge seam. Everything's nice and secure inside. That edge is caught within the edge out here. So it gives you a nice clean inside. Now it's just a case of putting in the cordage, which technically I don't use, but you know, you never know. I might go somewhere and I can at least cinch it in and it's sealed as a project bag. Haven't used them in that fashion, but I guess if the cordage is there. I was going to use this, but this morning when I looked at it, I thought, you know, I like them all to be the same. So I went back to the cord. Is that silly? I think it had bugged me that one had, you know, different cord. I need something to thread through there. Have I got something to thread through there? Where's my needle book? Let's see, there's one of those big bobkin, yeah, one of these guys. Put that through there. So, little knot, that'll help me get it through. I feel like I've got a little sore throat coming on. I felt all right yesterday, but this morning I did go out last night for dinner with some friends and we sat outside next to the ocean, and maybe it's just a bit of a, you know, breathing in salt air and it's made my throat a little bit raspy. I don't know. Hope it's nothing. That tab's a bit not quite in the centre. So you go around. I start on the corner. I go all the way around and come back out on the corner and just chop it off. I don't want them too long because they're just going to dangle on the shelf. So there's no use, you know, just knot that so it doesn't disintegrate. And then I just do a loose little bow. And then I go to the opposite corner, which is this side, and I do it again. And that's it. As simple as that. So pleased it's finished. It's been sitting on my to-do project shelf. I have like a top of a shelving unit that's about waist high and it's quite long, very lineal, and it holds heaps of baskets for all my scrappy bits. And that top is just a fantastic place to pop projects that I'm working on for you guys. And it's been sitting there for some time. So it's good. It's done. Plus now I can start thinking about potentially another theme. It made it a lot easier with that bobkin there. Alrighty. I don't like that bow on the other side. It looks too messy. I think we just want just a little knot. Just a loose little knot. That's better. That looks messy. pressure off of it a little bit. You're going to be able to get your mitt in there to pull out all your morsels. There we go. Done. Calling it done. Love it. Thanks to Susanna and her fantastic calendar project that we did last year. And all these gorgeous little critters. Very cool. Very, very cool. All right, guys, I'm going to toddle off and add that to my shelf as a caddy to hold my bits and bobs. I don't know what I'll put in there. There'll be something. Actually, I need somewhere for random small images. Let me show you. I was gifted a heap of bits and pieces at the retreat. And I've purchased some of those bits. And I've purchased some little silk tags. These things. And I just would like somewhere to put them that I can go through them if I want just that little printed image. And I've got panels, see these, there's those there. I've got a couple of my dragonflies, so we'll call them embellishments. So when you're doing a project and you're just looking for that little extra something, these are silk images that I've purchased from the purveyor of textiles. I don't know what to use them for, but they just look so gorgeous. So those are sort of kicking around in this embellishment pile. I might use this container for such things. So when I'm looking for that little, you know, when you're doing a project and there's always something random left, like the mushrooms, pop them in there. A couple dragonflies. We were printing stamps at one of the retreats. A little bit of script, and sometimes a little piece like that will remind you that you might have, maybe we put those in there too. Sort of a little tidy up. Okay, that's it. That's what this is going to be, little embellishment elements for projects. Okay, I shall say goodbye and I'll catch you all in the next video. Bye, guys.